Illinois football is absolutely scorching hot right now. But on the basketball side, there's something going on that has me a little sort of worried.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. My name is Sonny Verma, your host here at Locked On Illini, where I continue to provide you coverage daily. That's right, every single day of the orange and blue. All this information costs you absolutely nothing. The only thing I ask for in return is if you can like this video. I promise it's a good one. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel and help me towards my goal of 5,000 before we hit football season. I think it's August 29th. Looking forward to that. That's what, like 60 days, less than 60 days away. Man, that season is creeping up. Today, we've got a story that's both exciting and frustrating at the same time. On one hand, Illinois basketball is building one of the most internationally intriguing rosters. And on the other hand, we still don't know if two of the most important pieces, Mihailo Petrovic and David Mirkovic, are going to be able to suit up. It's a situation that speaks to bigger challenges of the international recruiting that Illinois has seemed to focus on and kind of the new era of college hoops, especially under NIL, the new visa policies, revenue sharing uncertainty. So today, I wanted to kind of walk you through things, where things stands, what the roadblocks might be, and why Brad Underwood isn't just panicking yet, even though I might be. Let's start with the players in question, Mihailo Petrovic and David Mirkovic. Petrovic obviously is a Serbian point guard who's expected to take on, in my opinion, a major role this season. He was an MVP candidate in the Adriatic League, and the Illini are counting on him to be a high usage distributor role, especially with so many new faces on the roster. I've said this before. I think Petrovic is one of the more overlooked players on this Illinois team, with all the other guys getting a little bit more publicity. The film that I've watched with Petrovic, I think he's going to be an absolute star in the Big Ten Conference. Then you've got Mirkovic, the Montenegrin forward with a strong frame, a solid feel, and some pro experience, someone who could help on the boards and stretch the floor. Both of these guys were key parts of Illinois' offseason strategies, and yet neither has stepped on the practice floor yet. So what's the holdup? It's a three-step process, and all three steps are taking longer than fans and probably the coaching staff would like. Before anything else, both players need to get cleared academically by the University of Illinois. And unlike domestic recruits, international guys have transcripts in different languages, different grading systems, and a bunch of requirements that have to be translated, verified, and approved. Brad Underwood has said that is the stage that Mirkovic is in currently. And step number 2 is visa approval. After the school clears them, they need an I-20 form from the university to apply for a student visa. This part is handled through the U.S. State Department, and if you've been following the current climate, you know this is not a quick process. And step 3, NCAA eligibility. Even if and when both guys are here physically, the NCAA still has to determine if they're eligible to play. The sticking point here, both Petrovic and Mirkovic have professional experience overseas, just like Tomislav Ivisic and Kasperis Yakushonis last year. That means that the NCAA has to decide whether they're freshman, sophomore, or potentially even ineligible altogether. So let's talk about the implications of all this. Petrovic in particular is expected to start and handle the ball a lot. Without him, Illinois may have to rely more on Kylan Boswell to initiate, or at least make new plans for how they're going to use Andrej Stojakovic. Mirkovic is more of a depth piece, but still a versatile forward who could play real minutes. And what has me really concerned, and again, this is saying me, Brad Underwood obviously always has a poker face, and so he didn't look as concerned in his interview last week, is that now with Ty Rodgers out, all of a sudden, our room for error is drastically smaller than it was even 1 week ago. Without Ty Rodgers, all of a sudden Petrovic becomes vital to that backcourt. Not that you planned on using Ty Rodgers as a ball handler or a point guard in any big aspect, but we did 2 years ago, right? I mean, the experiment didn't work out very well, and eventually the ball handling duties were taken over by Marcus Domask, but it was nice to have that option available because I've said this again. If Colin Boswell and you have Petrovic, if one of those guys gets hurt, well, who is the guy? Who's the backup? Who's the backup point guard? Who is going to be able to step up and get some minutes at that position? With Mirkovic, kind of the same thing. Again, this is why losing Ty Rodgers hurts. Ty is a guy who could spell a few minutes at the 4 position, spell a few minutes at the 3 positions. We don't have that veteran anymore. And without that veteran, well, now we're really kind of hoping that Mirkovic and Petrovic are there to take up those minutes. Because if they're not, all of a sudden what looked like was going to be a very deep roster, all of a sudden becomes not at all. It also affects the team's summer chemistry. Workouts have started, but not everyone is there. That makes it hard to build cohesion, especially on a roster with this many new faces. So why isn't Brad Underwood worried? Underwood's been surprisingly calm and open about the whole thing. He told reporters it's just a step-by-step process. This stuff takes time. And honestly, he's been through this before. Last year, Tomislav Ivisic, some of you might forget, didn't get cleared to play, I think, until a week, 10 days before the season even started. I was fully expecting him to miss that first month of the season. So it was a pleasant surprise, but it was something that we did have to stress out about all summer long. Kasparas Yakishonis also arrived late, and still he's about to get drafted in the top 10, hopefully sometime later on this week. Underwood knows what he's doing. He and his staff have built up deep connections across Europe, and they've learned how to manage these delays while they're still building a top-tier roster. The whole situation also highlights something bigger. Illinois isn't just recruiting out of Indiana and Chicago anymore. Illinois is now a global program. The Visic twins are from Croatia. Petrovic is from Serbia. Mirkovic is from Montenegro. And of course, Stojakovic has Balkan roots himself. But going global comes with a price, namely bureaucracy. Throw in new NIL complications like the concern that international athletes on student visas may not be allowed to receive revenue-sharing payments. It's clear that this is still uncharted territory for a lot of schools. One quote from Underwood really stuck with me. He said, "We've heard reports of guys getting deported. We're trying to do the things the right way." That tells you how delicate the situation is. There are real consequences if you try to cut corners. So where do things go from here? The best case scenario is that both Petrovic and Mirkovic get admitted, secure visas, and land in Champaign by late July or early August. That would give them enough time to join the team workouts, and before the season ramps up. Worst case scenario is that the visa delays or NCAA eligibility reviews bleed into the fall and prevent them from playing right away or potentially at all. Sitting here on my desk as of today, I feel more optimistic about Mirkovic. Mirkovic to me seems like what's happened in the previous years with Ivisic and Kasparas Yakishonis. He's younger. I think he's more college eligible, if that sort of makes sense. But Petrovic, I'm genuinely kind of starting to get concerned about, just because he's 22, 23 years old. He's a veteran. Okay, I hate to say this, but he's not a kid. He's at this point, he is a man who's played professional basketball for a few years now. Again, MVP candidate in the Adriatic League. At some point, even I admit that it's kind of weird that this loophole that Brad Underwood seems to be utilizing, well, that's exactly what it is. It's a loophole. Maybe the NCAA is going to decide that they're going to patch this one up and they're not going to allow Petrovic to play. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. I think eventually things are going to get cleared up. I think Mirkovic will probably get cleared before Petrovic does. But, that doesn't mean I'm not concerned. That doesn't mean that there's at least not that worry there because of what I said earlier. This team right now we thought was going to be a very deep team, already lost a core rotational player. And Mirkovic and Petrovic, in my eyes, are also two core rotational players. If you're going to be without three guys that you expected to be a part of your rotation, well, there's no team in the country that can handle that with no problem at all. That's going to take an effect on the roster and the player, and quite honestly, the season. But either way, the staff has contingency plans. This is the price of building a high ceiling international roster. And I get the fan frustration when you hear about a potential Adriatic League MVP coming to Illinois, and then just a couple months later, he's still not on campus. It's easy to worry. But the reality is, Brad Underwood has a plan. And even though it's taking longer than anyone would like, for the most part, it looks like there's no reason to panic yet. If and when Petrovic and Mirkovic do get cleared, they're going to elevate this team ceiling in a big way. And if not, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Until then, Illinois fans, stay patient, stay locked in, and always, I'll be here to break it all down. You let me know your opinion. Is there one guy that you're more worried about? Do you share my concern about Petrovic in particular? Maybe the NCAA deciding that, no, this guy is not a student. This is becoming a sham, a charade. I want to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the greens, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Again, I've already told you guys, I've got my eyes locked on PCA on the Cubs. I have them at plus 8,000 and plus 5,500 to win the National League MVP. Right now, he's the second favorite, I believe, right behind Shohei Ohtani. So that's going to be something I'm going to be following along all summer long. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. And welcome back to Locked On Illini. Next up, we discuss why Brad Underwood might legit be a psychopath. Today, we're diving into some interesting comments he made last week about our already very, very tough schedule, which by the time he's done might end up being the toughest non-conference schedule in the country. Brad is cooking up another gauntlet for the Illini, and we might not be done yet. I'm going to walk you through the marquee matchups already locked in, what this says about the program's direction, and which teams Illinois might still add. Let's go. Let's start with what we already know. Illinois has five power conference matchups on the books for the 2025-2026 non-conference slate. Texas Tech at the State Farm Center. We've got Alabama at the United Center, UConn at Madison Square Garden. Good luck with that. Tennessee in Nashville, and Missouri, of course, in the annual bragging rights game. That's the Big 12, SEC, Big East, and SEC again. And most of them are either on the road or on neutral sites. This is not a cupcake schedule. This is hopefully a Final Four preparation type of schedule. Why does Brad Underwood do this? Because he knows the value of being battle tested. We've seen the community reward teams with strength of schedule, and Illinois has benefited from this the last few years. These are the type of games that get you ready to play in the Big Ten. And quite honestly, it also attracts national attention, something you need when you're trying to make noise in March. Keep in mind, Illinois was a member of two of the most watched games all of college basketball last season. I'm not just talking about for Illinois. I'm not just talking about for Big Ten. I'm talking about all of college basketball. All eyes were on Illinois. Underwood had said it himself. He wants to get his guys uncomfortable in November so that they're fearless in March. And that's what the schedule he keeps putting together does. And again, here's the twist. Brad says we're not done yet. He hinted that Illinois is likely to add at least one more Power 4 conference opponent. And let's be honest, I've been speculating it for the past week now. Media reports say that we're looking to early mid-December for that game. A true road game or another neutral site battle seems most likely. For me, I can't say this enough. I like playing Power 4 teams, but let's do true home and homes, okay? I don't want to play neutral venues like the United Center. Sure, maybe once in a while, once every couple of years, fine, but to me, nothing matched that intensity, the excitement of that Tennessee game last year at the State Farm Center. And I think that's what makes college sports so great, just having the students there and to generate all that excitement. So who could be one of the teams that Brad could possibly add to the schedule? Here's a few rumored matches. According to Robbie Nardini at my friends at the Armchair Illini, we're looking at possibly Creighton in Kansas City, two offensive juggernauts in a regional neutral site. I think that could be fun. BYU in Kansas City or Denver, again, neutral site, but a matchup with a possible number 1 NBA draft pick in AJ Dybantsa. We just did this with Cooper Flagg last year. And last year that game was on ESPN. Guess what? This one would probably be as well. What about Florida in Tampa? Tough road test in a future NCAA tournament site. The Gators are obviously national champions, and this would be a massive spotlight opportunity and the battle for blue and orange. I've also heard the rumors about Houston at the Toyota Center, a rematch of the 2022 round of 32 loss. Talk about revenge. And another tough test against what's, of course, likely is going to be a top 10 team. There's also been speculation about Baylor, Ole Miss, and even Texas A&M being possibly in the mix. Bottom line, Brad Underwood, University of Illinois, they don't duck anybody. This non-conference schedule isn't just tough, it's intentional. Brad Underwood is trying to build a team that's just not only ready for March, but one that can earn a top seed, compete with the nation's elite, and keep the Illini in the national conversation all season long. And when you combine this schedule with the international recruiting haul that we've already talked about recently, it's clear Illinois is trying to level up. I'm curious with what I talked about in the first segment. We already know Ty Rodgers is going to be gone. We found out that news last week. How long, we don't know, but speculation seems to be he's going to miss a significant portion of this season, if not more. Now we also have the uncertainties of Petrovic and Mirkovic from last week. I do wonder if Brad is maybe kind of, sort of, having second thoughts on really adding another Power 4. Look, I get it. You know, as he says, it doesn't really hurt you to play these sort of games. So, like, we lost by 40 plus points to Duke last year. And that game didn't harm us at all when it came to the analytics. In fact, it only helps. When you play the Patsies, you really have to beat them by 30, 40, 50 points for it to benefit you in any sort of way. As long as you have a quad 1 game, for the most part, you're in pretty good shape. Selfishly, though, you know, with the now uncertainty for the roster when it comes to this Illini team, I kind of hope that Brad decides to pass on adding another Power 4 team to the schedule. And you know what? It's for very selfish reasons, almost vanity reasons. You know, I kind of like the fact that Illinois has had, 5 straight 20-win seasons in a row now, and we're one of the only handful of teams that can actually say that. For me, I just want this team, which had half the rosters new as is, and so to throw them in that gauntlet, and now without potentially 3 of the guys in your core rotation, it might just be not quite a fair proposition for the young kids. And so for me, I hope Brad reconsiders. He takes maybe not a bad team, but, you know, like a 150 to 200 RPI type of team. Let's battle someone that's going to not necessarily test us, but not something that we're going to just walk right through anyway. But knowing Brad Underwood, knowing how his philosophy is with the Illini, it sounds like he's probably going to line up another top 10, top 15, top 20 team. And, you know, that's what that's what makes Brad Underwood, right? Like he has this philosophy. He has had it for years. You think he cares about 20 plus wins for 5 straight seasons? I doubt it. He just wants to make it to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, Final 4, and ultimately win a championship at Illinois. And if he thinks getting the team ready in December and January is going to help him in March, then that's exactly what Brad Underwood is going to do. I'm curious on your guys' thoughts. Are you guys more with Brad? Are you bring on all the challenges? Bring it on. You're not afraid of anybody. Or do you kind of get where I'm coming from and saying, hey, you know what? I understand I don't necessarily want to play Chicago State. I don't need to play Western Illinois, but maybe we can play a Missouri Valley team, a middle Missouri Valley team, you know, a team that, again, is not going to test you too much or test you a little bit, but not exactly going to be a risk of a loss. Does a 20-win streak that we're on matter to you guys? Is that just me being, again, a little too vain? Let me know in the comments. I'm very curious on what you guys think. And welcome back to the final segment. Before I let you guys go, I did want to note that I am recording this before the Pacers and Thunder played their Game 7, so there's a reason I'm not bringing that up. But I did want to bring up an NBA story. Kevin Durant was traded on Sunday, and why am I bringing that up? The Phoenix Suns were able to acquire pick number 10. And taking a look at the available options for the Phoenix Suns, I think that might just be a team that Kaspersky Akionis might fit pretty well with. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it's pretty intriguing, and I think it's a fit that might actually work out. Do I think Kaspersky is going to fall to 10? I don't think so. I think he can go as high as number 6 from what I've been gathering, but that is definitely a target that could very well happen. I don't really hear much on the Will Riley news. I did see another mock draft again, which had him at, I believe, 23 or 24. I'm standing by my statement, which I made about a month ago, that he's going to finish anywhere from 16 to 20, closer to 16. At least that's my opinion. If you're interested in getting together for that NBA draft, please let me know. Send me an email at talkillini@gmail.com. I can give you details on where I'm going to be watching the NBA draft. It's going to be somewhere in the Chicago West suburbs. Oh, by the way, we had our first outing last Friday at the Cubs game. Unfortunately, the Cubs couldn't take care of business, but me and some of the members from the Locked On Illini community definitely had a great time. But I will say, I'm never doing bleachers again. It was 90 plus degrees outside, and by the end of that game, I was over it. Got a fun week of content for you. We're going to be discussing Max Sutter, who's going to be deciding where he's going to play college football on Friday. And so at some point this week, I'm going to be giving a little overview and possibilities on what his chances are that he's going to be coming to Champaign. So make sure you stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Again, this channel can only grow if you can share it with other Illini fans in your life, whether friends, family, people you went to school with, old roommates. Just know, again, I come on here every single day. I ask for nothing in return except for that. All the information. There's no premium content. This is all absolutely free. I don't necessarily have to do it every single day in the off season, but I enjoy doing it. Why? Because you guys are commenting. Because you guys are leaving me comments. You guys are sending me emails. You guys are DMing me on your favorite social medias, which, by the way, please do. You can find me at TheSunnyV on X, or you can find me at Talk Illini on all the social medias. Again, I always like to hear from all of you. Thank you for making Locked On Illini your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes of college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, later this week, the new Phil Steele magazine, I thought I had brought it down with me, arrived in my mail, so it's going to be interesting. We're going to take a look at what he says about the Illini and see whether we agree or disagree. Either way, on your way out, please, again, make sure you hit the like on the video. And until next time, ILL, love you guys.